Okay, here today with Coach Michael Lindsey of the Lamar Texans. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing great, thank you.
Welcome. So let's get right into it. One of the things we're trying to hit in these interviews is, the path the coach takes to wind up where he is. So if you don't mind, walk us through your coaching history from the very beginning.
All right. Well, this will be just a little bit here. I've got I think probably a unique one. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was a coach's son in Atlanta at a school very similar to Lamar, which is Lakeside High School, right in the middle of the city. And I played football at Auburn. I met my wife there, and so after I got done playing and we got married, she pursued medical school, and we decided to do that in Texas. So we did not know a single person living in Texas when we moved out to Texas in January of 2004. And we ended up being in San Antonio. I worked at Churchill High School for Carl Gustafson. My wife ended up getting into medical school in Galveston at UTMB, and so I followed her to the Bay Area for her medical school career, and I got a job with Steve Van Meter at Friendswood and was there for 6 great years from 2006 to 2011. And then my wife had moved on to residency at Texas Children's in the city in the medical center. And we had moved closer to the medical center, and I was interested in being in the city. And even though I had a great time at Friendswood and had kind of risen up the ranks a little bit there, I applied for a job with Coach Nolan at Lamar in 2012. And I did not know a whole lot about the school, but once I got Lamar, I loved it and was there. My first year was 2012 as an assistant coach in the state championship runner-up team that lost to Allen. And we went 15-1. And then I coached again there the next year. And then my wife and I had always decided to move back to Auburn as the destination where we wanted to be to raise our kids, to move back to, the town of Auburn where Auburn University is. And so we moved back there in the spring, or I guess the summer of 2014. And I got a job coaching high school ball there. And we built a house, and she was a pediatrician in a private practice there. And we both had good careers there, and both after 3 years decided that it really wasn't for us, that we wanted to be in the city. We want to be back in Houston, Texas. So I was able to win a state championship as a defensive coordinator in Alabama in 2016 at the high school 5A level. And we decided, I called Coach Nolan back later that spring, and I guess the spring of 2017, and asked if I could get my old job back. And he said yes, and we moved back to Houston in 2017. And he, after the following season, decided to retire and recommended me to take his position. And I was really at the right place at the right time. I did not move back for that. I was just very, very lucky to have that happen. And so I've been here for the last 4 years at Lamar, and I spent a long time following my wife's medical school career and career as a pediatrician around, but we've settled down here in Houston, and we'll be here for, all the way through our kids are raised. And I've got a 8-month-old now, so that'll probably be a pretty long time.
All right. Well, you've worked under several different coaches in all of several different states. And you take bits and pieces of that to form who you are. Now you're the head football coach there at Lamar, and one aspect of that is coaching the coaches, preparing the coaches for whatever is going to be next for them. Talk a little bit about that mentor role.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've certainly been blessed, and I mentioned a few of them. Working for Steve Van Meter and Tom Nolan and Carl Gustafson. I mean, those are 3 great coaches there that taught me a lot. I think the biggest thing that I try to do is help young coaches see the big picture of what they're doing, the impact on the lives they make on kids, and also how important it is for them to have family time. Certainly, I love, talking X's and O's and talking ball and talking about, how to, do drills the right way and have high energy and high focus and review film, all that stuff. But it's secondary, I think, to teaching and helping young coaches, especially, how to prioritize mentorship of athletes, and prioritize their own families. And I think that's the one thing I'd want to do. We try to make sure that we have family time on the weekends. We don't come to the office on Sunday. We do everything, over Zoom, over meetings on the computer, and Saturdays, we're not, going to burn the midnight oil at the office on Saturdays. So we definitely want to set a good example for that. And then also, I think, as I mentioned, dealing with kids today, especially, that we really are focused on kids. I mean, anybody can do X's and O's. Anybody can learn how to run a drill. Anybody can learn how to execute an offense or defense. And there's just so many different ways to do that. But it's more important to build relationships and know how to push kids while at the same time you love them and help them with all they go through in life.
All right. Let's talk a little football now. So you're about to do your spring practice starting next week. What are the Texans looking like for 2020, 2022? Let's not go back to 2020.
No, we feel good about the group we have coming back. We returned most of our offensive firepower from last year. We lost a running back, Kenneth Kennedy, to graduation, and Zach Green was one of our top receivers. But the amount of running backs and receivers that are talented we have coming back is the best that we've had in a long time. Our offensive line, we're replacing 4 starters, but our young talent on the offensive line is tremendous. I had a coach who'd been at Lamar a long time tell me the other day that he feels like this is going to be our best offensive line since 2012, which was high praise for the group we have coming back. On defense, we're always good up front on defensive line, and that'll be the same this coming year. We feel strong about our 2 interior players, John McDonald and Jarvis Butler, coming back. And at linebacker, that's probably another position of need that we've really focused on this offseason. And we return starter Carson Skotak. But I have a couple of young guys that should be as good as anybody. Aaron Kizzy, and he'll play perhaps both offense and defense. Kizzy could be in there at fullback as well, and he's about 6'2", 210, and can run. And then we have a guy named Cameron Reddick, who I'm expecting big things out of. Defensive back, we had 3 guys signed Division I last year, and those guys are going to be hard to replace. But we have a pretty good experienced group coming back. 3 guys that got a lot of playing time last year. A couple all-district players in Omarion Marshall and Deuce Connor. And then we have, a young guy who could be as good as anybody. Chris Dishman's son, Ethan Dishman, will be a rising sophomore for us, and we're excited about him. And of course, I mentioned the offensive firepower. We return our quarterback, Kenneth Rosenthal. He's coming back. He was a great player for us last year and started every game and led us, and also led our basketball team to a district championship. So Kenneth is going to be a great player to have coming back, leading our team.
Now, 2020, not to talk too much about that, but your 70-plus game district win streak was snapped by Houston Heights. You got the district title back last year. Talk a little bit about, is there a rivalry developing there, or is that, hey, it was once, you're going to have to prove it for us to really consider us a year?
It's a little bit of a rivalry. I mean, we play, our rival in the school is Bel Air, in every sport, and that's the big one. And certainly West Side and Heights have been teams that have been pretty good in football that we have to make sure we get up for. Coach Dixon had a great team a couple years ago, and he's still doing a good job over there in that program. But it's a game for us. We certainly expect to be the best in the district, and we can't overlook them. But I think it's as big as the Bel Air game is for us, or the West Side game.
Okay. One more thing before I let you go. So what is one thing about Michael Lindsey that people may not know?
Oh, one thing about me that they may not know. You're looking for something kind of random and anecdotal or something. So when I was, as I said, my dad was my head coach in high school, and they filmed a movie at the high school when I was probably about 10 or 11 with Hulk Hogan. It was called No Holds Barred. And you had Tiny Lister, and he was the guy that played Debo in the movie Friday. And so they were in that movie, and I was an extra. And I ended up making the movie poster. So I'm on the movie poster right there with Hulk Hogan, and I can say I've been in a movie. Every now and then it might get replayed on TNT, but it's a pretty cheesy wrestling movie. So you'd have to, be a wrestling fan of the '80s that might, remember that one. But that's something that most people would not know about me.
All right. Well, that's a really good one. So now we can say movie star Michael Lindsey.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for your time today, Coach, and best of luck with with your spring practice in the 2022 season.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate all you do.